Picture this, a humble Mayan village frozen in time, not by ice, but by ash. And not the kind you sweep off your porch either. This was a full-blown volcanic eruption, courtesy of Loma Caldera, sometime around 600 CE. Welcome to Joya de Cerén, often called the Pompeii of the Americas. The volcanic soil that preserved Joya de Cerén also made the surrounding region incredibly fertile. This same earth that once grew maize and squash later became the foundation of El Salvador's coffee empire.
But Pompeii is in Italy. This one is not?
Correct. This is the Mesoamerican remix. Think ash-covered homes, interrupted dinner, and 0 centurions.
The comparison to Pompeii isn't about location, it's about preservation. When the volcano erupted, it didn't just wipe out the village. It sealed it like a time capsule, trapping everything beneath layers of ash for over 1,000 years. Clothes, food, tools, it's all there. It's as if the people simply vanished mid-sentence.
Did the volcano eat them?
Thankfully, no. One of the miracles of this site is that no human remains have been found. This suggests they escaped in time, but they left everything behind, their whole lives frozen in a moment.
The ultimate ghosting. Poof, gone. But their stuff stayed to tell the tale.
Fast forward to 1976. A bulldozer operator clearing land near San Juan Pico hit something strange, not treasure. Adobe. That accidental discovery turned into one of the most important archaeological finds in the Americas. What they uncovered wasn't royal, it wasn't glamorous, but it was real. Why Joya de Cerén matters. Most Maya sites focus on temples, elite tombs, or towering pyramids, grandiose symbols of power and religion. But Joya de Cerén is different. It shows us life from the ground level, literally. It's a window into the lives of farmers, artisans, and families, the kind of people history often forgets.
So no kings, no human sacrifices, just actual humans?
Exactly. And what makes it so moving is the detail. Archaeologists found cooking pots still filled with food, fingerprints on ceramic bowls, garden plots with plants still rooted, footpaths etched into the ground like frozen memories.
That means they were cooking when the ash came.
Yes, one hearth still had charred remains of an unfinished meal. People were mid-dinner prep, mid-conversation, maybe even mid-laughter. It's one of the few places where you can walk through an ancient home and feel like someone just left the room.
An archaeological home invasion, with permission.
What makes this site so uniquely preserved? Let's get a little scientific. When Loma Caldera erupted, it wasn't a lava-spewing explosion like Mount Vesuvius. It was a phreatomagnetic eruption, a type of explosion that occurs when rising magma meets underground water. The result? A violent release of steam and superheated ash that blanketed the landscape almost instantly.
So, like nature's version of a shaken soda can, but with magma?
Surprisingly accurate, Ernest. The ash from the eruption was fine-grained and low in temperature compared to pyroclastic flows. That's key. It preserved organic material, wood, thatch, even botanical samples, without incinerating them.
So the ash was gentle?
Not gentle, just not quite deadly. The sudden burial sealed buildings in an anaerobic, airtight environment, essentially slowing or halting decomposition. That's why archaeologists have been able to recover charred food remains, pigment on walls, and even the layout of ancient gardens. Village life preserved. More than 70 structures have been uncovered, including homes, kitchens, storerooms, communal areas, and religious shrines. One especially fascinating building was a sweat lodge, or temazcal, used for ritual purification. Not just a spa day, Jordan.
Is it like sitting in soup?
Sort of, but with spiritual intention. Saunas like these were essential to Maya wellness and ritual practices. The buildings themselves were crafted with adobe and reinforced with wooden poles and thatched roofs. Rainwater drainage systems and elevated platforms show an understanding of engineering that's still impressive today.
And to think, I thought modern plumbing was peak civilization.
The layout suggests extended families lived in connected units. Tools for grinding maize, stone manos, and matates, pottery shards. Each tells a story of daily rhythms, and that's what makes it so beautiful. The extraordinary with the ordinary. The preservation is so complete, scientists could analyze microstratigraphy. That's the layering of tiny soil particles to reconstruct activity zones. By examining soil chemistry and residues, they can determine which rooms were used for cooking, sleeping, storage, and ritual.
CSI, Maya edition.
Exactly. One of the most important tools here is the phytolith analysis, a way to study microscopic silica remains left by plants. Through it, researchers confirmed what was being grown, where, and even how long it had been cultivated.
Plants leave fossils?
Not fossils exactly. Phytoliths are like the plant's shadow. You can tell maize from manioc, even if the plant itself is gone. And in pollen analysis and chemical residues, archaeologists essentially reverse engineer ancient behavior from the dirt. From ancient fields to coffee plantations. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. The volcanic soil that preserved Joya de Cerén also made the surrounding region incredibly fertile. This same earth that once grew maize and squash later became the foundation of El Salvador's coffee empire.
Ah yes, the magical bean, humanity's favorite addiction.
By the 1800s, coffee cultivation transformed El Salvador's economy. Entire landscapes were cleared for plantations. The country became one of the world's largest coffee exporters. But it wasn't just about business. It shaped class structures, politics, and even conflict.
Did they make food with coffee?
Not exactly, but the bean both brought prosperity and inequality. Large estates replaced smaller farms. Indigenous communities lost land. A cash crop that united the nation also deepened divides. And the legacy of that transformation still ripples through the country today.
So, from manioc to mocha, this land has been feeding people for centuries, just in very different ways.
Preservation and challenges. Modern preservation uses science too. To protect Joya de Cerén, scientists monitor humidity, temperature, and fungal activity under its shelters. Volcanic ash is a natural preservative, but once exposed to air, it becomes fragile.
Ash is good, until it's not.
That's right. The biggest enemies now are water infiltration, temperature fluctuations, and human interference. Conservationists are experimenting with non-invasive scanning, like ground-penetrating radar, GPR, and LIDAR, to locate structures still buried without disturbing them. That way we can see more of the village without risking the delicate equilibrium that kept it intact for over 1,000 years. In 1993, Joya de Cerén was designated a Unesco World Heritage Site. It earned that status not through splendor, but through intimacy. It captures a moment, a breath of human experience.
Like a prehistoric Polaroid, no filter needed.
But that preservation is fragile. Climate, erosion, and limited funding all threaten the site. Protective shelters have been built, and monitoring is ongoing. Still, many of its secrets remain buried. Archaeologists estimate only a fraction of the village has been uncovered.
Should we dig up the rest?
Carefully. Excavation means exposure, and exposure can mean decay. Sometimes, the best way to preserve the past is to leave it buried. Echoes of the everyday. What moves me most about Joya de Cerén is its quiet dignity. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It reminds us that history isn't only written in stone monuments or royal decrees. It's in the grinding of corn, the shaping of clay, the planting of gardens.
It's the Netflix of archaeology. Everyday drama, ancient edition.
Exactly, and that's why it matters. Most of us aren't kings or generals. We're just people trying to make a light. And those lives deserve to be remembered.
Like leftovers that tell stories?
Yes, Jordan. Beautiful, meaningful leftovers.
So, the next time you pass your morning coffee, remember, you're sipping history. And somewhere beneath your feet, a story might be waiting in the dirt.
Well said, Ernest. Let's honor these stories. Let's dig carefully, preserve wisely, and always listen when the past tries to speak. We'll see you next time.